Washington Commanders of the preseason. It's kind of interesting. Everybody's trying to feel their way out, where they need to go, what it takes, what buses you get on, because soon it's going to be full go. We are well into the season, but today, preseason game number 2, we are here at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium for the Commanders' second preseason game, and it is against, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. This is Command Center Live on Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and broadcasting live across Washington Commanders Radio Network. Of course, we are very excited to be on Big 100 this year as well. So make sure you don't miss a single preseason or game as well. Bram Weinstein is joining me here as well, and we're way up high here at Arrowhead, looking way down. I feel like as we walked in, London Fletcher, who is going to be joining us this season as well in the booth, he said, "Man, we are close to God in this game." We're going to have our binoculars out, but I don't even know if Carson Wentz is out there warming up right now. Bram, though, here we come in. What did you see from Carson Wentz? Because that was the biggest question mark of getting into it. How is this offense going to run? What did you feel confidence-wise coming out of that game last week?
I actually think they showed some resiliency. They're down 10-0, partially because of a fumble, which I'm sure we're going to talk about ad nauseum today, about what that means for the running back room and what it's meant throughout the week. But they were down 10-0, and he got what appeared to be a final drive, and the offense was cooking. And he found Curtis Samuel, and he found Terry McLaurin, and there was a near miss with Jahan Dotson. And I think you started to see the potential of all the different weapons out there. And, the number I would look at mainly from the first game was yards per attempt, which was under 6. So that's a low number. So I think they were letting him get his sea legs a little bit, get the ball out of his hands, find some of his weapons, have some success, and then the numbers look good, 10 of 13. So it looked really good, and I think for a first go, I think it calmed everybody down after a couple of weeks where people were questioning what was happening in practice.
There have been a lot of question marks at training camp, and many folks kind of concerned coming in, because one of the things that we want to get from Carson Wentz and what he needs to do to solidify being that franchise quarterback. As we know, he's taken a little bit of a journey from the Eagles to the Colts to here Washington, where head coach Ron Rivera puts all his confidence in him, saying, "This is your team. We want you here. We trust you. We believe that you can do that." But the consistency is one of the things that they really want to make sure they get from him. He's still picking up a whole new offense.
Yep.
And as he's quick to tell us anytime we ask, is like, it's preseason. Like, it's not going to be perfect. He's going to be harder on himself than any critiques out there, because he knows what he wants to do. But it is preseason. It's training camp. So let's just kind of relax just a little bit. But we'll get more of them today.
Yeah, I think so. And, just in watching practice for the first few weeks here in camp, like when you watch them run the ball, you get a sense of this is what they want to do and how they want to do it. And this is just my opinion, but when I watch practice and they do the passing game, it feels more like a potpourri. Like they're just trying things. And that's okay. It's the time of year to do this. And even before the game, we were down on the field and talking to a couple of the coaches, and they were readily admitting, like, they're not throwing everything out there yet. And so I thought, Carson Wentz kind of answered this question a number of times when people were asking about inconsistency at practice and some inaccuracy. And he was saying things like, hey, it's camp. Hey, we're trying things. Hey, this is new for everybody here. And give us some time to figure out what we're doing together. It's a lot of new parts. There's a lot of options. I think for Scott Turner, this is a whole new thing for him to play with. He's got a lot of different options and a lot of places the ball can go. And I think this is going to take some time for them to figure out what they do best and who should be touching the ball and when.
We also saw quarterback coach Ken Zampese coming out onto the field here, getting set for the game. And we know, I've talked with him before, just the excitement on having Carson Wentz and what that allows them to do, being able to stretch the field, take advantage of his arm. And when you talk to Terry McLaurin or Jahan Dotson, they're like, we want to use our speed.
Yeah.
That's what we have. We want to be able to turn the wheels on and be able to kind of let loose. And that at times, because Carson usually likes to look for that big play, at times it does become costly. But in this system, the way that they have, the way that they use their running backs, you put the tight ends out there, although, albeit, folks, this tight end room, it is banged up. So whatever you're going to look at the tight ends today, it's not going to be replicated of what they want to do or what they hope and anticipate to do in the regular season. But the options that they have with the pieces that they brought in, and Curtis Samuel back out there healthy, they like what they can potentially build this offense to.
Yeah. Listen, they want him to uncork it. I mean, they brought him here because he's got the athleticism and the arm and all of that stuff that changes the dynamic of this offense that they have not had in a long time. really probably since Kirk Cousins. They have not had a quarterback who's capable of doing the things and making the type of throws that they are looking for, and they have the weapons now to take advantage of it. I mean, De'Ami Brown might be the 4th or 5th receiver on this team, and he might be the best deep threat for them. They've got 3 others that all can make plays with their legs. Antonio Gibson is as versatile as it comes. J.D. McKissick's going to find a role here, and Brian Robinson has emerged here very early as a reliable, not just running back, but target. They have a lot to work with. There's one other complicated thing about today. When we talk about all this and trying to take that next step and seeing more, they are really thin on the offensive line. They are, as you mentioned, really thin at tight end, almost scary thin at the position today. And I think it's going to complicate how much they're going to leave the starters out there. The intention was for them to play a half, but there have been so many, and most of them are minor, but minor injuries that have left them really low on personnel at key positions. There's some concern in the building about how exposed they're going to put their starters out there today, even if they want to see them play a little bit more.
Well, they have Chris Jones on the other side, too.
Yeah.
And if he's out there playing, I think you might see us not get all the way to the half. They might pull them definitely earlier. We're going to get much further into the offensive line and the concerns in this game that we have going into it. And as well, we do have to address, as you mentioned, Antonio Gibson fumbling the ball. Everybody wants to know, is he now potentially in risk of losing that number 1 starting running back position? And how much does that really even matter, the number 1 guy? It's who gets the most carries and the most loads. I think we'll see a little bit of that today as an inclination, as they may just be running the ball a little bit more. So as we do, that will be coming up in the show. Let's get to some of the injuries of who we will not be seeing out here today that will impact what they can do in this preseason game against the Chiefs.
I mean, I think the offensive line is the biggest thing here. Like, Andrew Norwell is likely to be the starting left guard. Something happened this week. He's barely practiced, so I don't anticipate him playing today. I'm waiting to hear that. Trey Turner hasn't practiced since the first week. He's out. Wes Schweitzer hurt his hip earlier this week. It was so bad in the middle of the week. Sam Cosmi, who's their starting right tackle, was taking reps at right guard, and I'm not so sure that that's not a possibility today. Like, we're going to have to see what happens in the game and how many bodies that they trust to put out there, specifically with the starters. So Sadiq Charles should get a good opportunity today. The rookie 7th-round pick, Chris Paul, should have an opportunity today. But where they're really, really thin is tight end. Cole Turner's not going to play. John Bates is still not going to play. Obviously, Logan Thomas is not available to play. They're down to a couple of bodies, including a rookie, Armani Rogers, who got a good look last week, but we're in a situation here, and that's the interesting part of you want to see the offense perform pretty well, especially against an opponent like this, where everybody knows this is one of the best teams in the NFL. They've been this way for a number of years. It's a measuring stick game. You typically play the starters a little bit more, but I think they need to be very careful here because you don't want an injury to occur because of attrition at certain key positions.
And just because of all those injuries you mentioned on the offensive line, look, you've got Sam Cosmi. He's done a really good job playing guard, but that's in practice because they needed him to. He did outstanding at tackle last year. They still do want him to play tackle, but that's been one of the biggest things that they have preached all along is you've got to be able to have flex positions, and this is exactly why. And now these players, should they have to go in at guard, should they have to even move over to center, they will have had a couple of reps lining up to whomever has been next to them because of necessity, which you hope doesn't play out in the regular season, but we've seen one too many times before that does in fact happen. And depending on what's going on in the defensive front for the Chiefs as they've gone through some revamped, changes during the offseason, that will determine how much we're going to see our starters. They may get pulled pretty darn early if they realize Carson Wentz is in trouble. Not going to risk hurting him in the preseason. We need to get that offensive line healthy. It's going to be a beautiful day here.
It is.
In Kansas City. Absolutely gorgeous. It's 80 degrees outside. It's clear. There's a nice little breeze. Our booth, though, you cannot open the windows. I think you should find me for every time I complain about that.
You know what the worst part of it is? Because it's this time of day when you look out into the parking lot to our right that you get the wafting scent of the meat that's being smoked in the parking lot of Kansas City, and we don't have it.
We do not have that. Feel sorry for us, but we're here. We're going to be watching a game, hopefully a great game, and a game that will help determine rounding out the 53-man roster. Now, when we come back, we're going to hear from the DOC, Rick Doc Walker. He's going to be on the television today calling the game on NBC4 and NBC Sports Washington. He's going to join us live here at Arrowhead Stadium. Make sure you stick around for that. If you missed his call last week, you're going to want to listen to him all week long, or all game long as well. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you are listening to Washington Commanders Football.
If you spent all day grilling and no one bothered to save you a burger, You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card, and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to
And
a
the
close here
announcer?
after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
Out there.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
With Honda, every summer adventure is the destination. Take your adventures farther with Honda, America's most fuel-efficient, full-line automaker. Hurry into a local Honda dealer where new vehicles are arriving daily.
This one is for every parent who needs a vacation after getting back from a family vacation. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Glad to have you with us as we're getting set for preseason game number 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs here at Arrowhead Stadium. Going to see Pat Mahomes. We'll get to see how our defense goes up against him. But Rick Duck Walker joins me now, and since you're an offensive guy, Doc, I want to ask you about what did you see last week from Carson Wentz and the way this offense was run, because I'm not sure how much we'll see them out there this week, depending on how long that offensive line can hold up, depending on what the Chiefs bring at us.
I thought he was cautious. I thought he played to the crowd and the critics that were concerned about his erratic throwing and not being accurate, and I thought he let it get in his mind and came out and did the Charlie checkdown deal, which is not him. I want to see him let it go. I thought, but he satisfied critics, because most people thought 8 or 10 and they played the numbers, maybe they're playing fantasy, but they thought it was okay. To me, I need more. This guy MVP talent. That to me is not acceptable. So hopefully today we'll get a little bit more production.
I'm not so sure we're going to get to see that today, because I'm not so sure how this offensive line, how much time we'll be able to buy him to be able to take a lot of those shots.
Well, again, nobody, even the starters or guys who you presumed would be starters, they haven't played that much football here. So the guys that are in there, they're in there. That's who you have. Now, how good is your development? They got the best coach on the staff, in my opinion, in Matsko. He's got those guys over there, and I believe that they'll put up a competitive front.
They will need to in order to be able to stay out there on the field. As we've heard coming into this, head coach Ron Rivera said he wants to play his starters a half. they do not think that they will potentially be able to get there depending on how the game's going. A lot of that's going to be determined.
Yeah.
And you also have a couple of the guys on the offensive line, Cornelius Lucas, Chase Roulier, that they're coming back from injury, will be on a snap count.
Yep.
So when they go out, the question becomes, is that then when Carson Wentz goes out? And is that enough time for what they really want to see from Carson? It's not the ideal situation, but as we were talking with some of the coaches coming in here, hey, Doc, that's what you have to deal with. That is life in the NFL. And to your point, you got to be able to get those guys ready, because when someone goes down, it's the next man's opportunity to step up.
Armani Rogers, he's all alone. It started with 7 when camp started, 7 tight ends. They now have 1. So who's worried about him? Nobody. He's young. I say man up. I'm not into this panic about who's not going to play. They're so worried. They've been in camp long enough. They coach them up. These guys have an opportunity. Either you picked the wrong people or these aren't the right guys.
Well, I think for it when it comes to tight end, Armani Rogers will be out there, as it will be Eli Wolf. The rest of them are kind of dealing with some injuries and being out there. That will have an impact on how they use the tight ends. A lot of times you want to see 2 tight ends out there. We might see in this game much more of the 1 tight end and 3 wide receivers, which now is not such a bad thing, because we do believe we have those receivers to line them up out there as well, where in the past would be like, okay, we got Terry McLaurin, and then we're going to see who else can fill in here. DeAndre Carter, okay, let's see what you can do. But now you've got 3 legit receivers to be able to run that system.
Only problem with that is that Coach Turner does not want to show his hand.
No, he does not. Not in this game.
I think the strength is the wide receivers of this team, but he doesn't want to play his hand. So he's going to play a little coy. So I don't know what we'll see, but I know this. If I'm Rodgers, I'm thrilled, because I got an opportunity to make a football team.
Well, and to your point right there, this is the opportunity for so many players to put something on tape.
Thank you.
Should it not be here? Should it not be the 53 here or the practice squad? You are putting something on tape to extend your life in the NFL. So these games, well, as the casual viewer, you might say, okay, let's get a test. The win-loss doesn't really matter. To some, their livelihood is right here in this game, and that matters. And you make this game entertaining. You make it all the way to the end, Doc. So glad to have you on
Wasn't because of me, Julie. Our kids fought back. Otherwise, it would have been a rout, and all of us would have been in trouble. I owe it to them, because they fought back and made it a game. So all of us, including Bram, who really doesn't need any of us, but at least it made it. I look at it completely different. The kids earned that. I was just doing what I did. You did what you'd have to do, and hopefully we get another good product today.
So let me ask you, as we wrap this segment here, Sam Howell came back, had a couple of touchdowns, show that he's got, the ability to kind of, be a baller out there. Now, was he as consistent as they wanted? Did he leave a lot of plays out there? Sure, but for his first taste in the NFL, what was your assessment?
He was the best quarterback I saw that day for us, and that's what you want. He didn't wet the bed. He made runs. He made good decisions. He'll even be better. I don't know how much time he'll get. I want to see Heineke come back in. He had 1 bad play, but he had 2 good plays. And because he does something for this whole team that I want to see him put on film again. There's something about this guy that's magical with this ball club.
If you ask the players what their thoughts are on Taylor Heineke as well, they love him.
They love him.
Because they love the attitude that he brings. They said when he is in the huddle, he believes we're going to make any and every play. It doesn't matter the down or the distance or where they are. He believes we're going to convert, and that is infectious.
Exactly.
And the way that he plays, he gets guys buying in, not giving up until it is the absolute whistle blow, and there it goes. Taylor Heineke will get his chance, of course, today, but I do think we'll probably see a good bit of Sam Howell. A lot of that, again, of course, depends on just how long they do leave their starters out there. We look forward to your call on NBC Sports and NBC Sports Washington. You're with Logan Paulson down on the sideline and Kenny Albert there with you in the booth. Doc, true legend here for DC. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Julie, for having me. And tell Bram it'd be nice if once that he could actually join us. He big shots me every time I come on. He treats me like I'm a scrub and won't join, but that's okay. I'll earn his respect.
Nothing but love for all of us here. Thanks, Doc. Now coming up, you're going to hear from one of the anchors on Washington's defensive line. Daron Payne is with Santana Moss, Logan Paulson, and myself from training camp, and he had some things he was really looking forward to facing the Chiefs today, and one in particular, a quarterback in Pat Mahomes that's not afraid to get out and use his feet. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
If you spent all day grilling and no one bothered to save you a burger, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to
And
a
the
close here
announcer?
after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
With Honda, every summer adventure is the destination. Take your adventures farther with Honda, America's most fuel-efficient, full-line automaker. Hurry into a local Honda dealer where new vehicles are arriving daily.
This one is for every parent who needs a vacation after getting back from a family vacation. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
We are excited to get the season up and running. The first road game for the Washington Commanders here in Kansas City. But before we hit the road, well, we've been having conversations with a lot of the players on what they're expecting in the season ahead, and especially in today's game. Meanwhile, our pregame show is presented by the Washington Times, the exclusive reporting and proud partner of the Washington Commanders. One of those players that was really looking forward to getting out there and playing today is on defense, and that would be Daron Payne. So far, he is having an absolutely outstanding camp. Of course, he's in a contract year, but he is coming out on every play. And he said today will be a good measuring stick for their defense. Here is that conversation with Daron Payne, Santana Moss, and Logan Paulson, and myself.
I've been grinding since like February, so just to be able to have a chance to come out here and put together like what all I've been doing, it's just exciting to me to be able to just show it every day.
You put out a tweet talking about living the dream here, but you've been in the NFL and the league for a couple years now. What is different about this year for you?
I mean, it's nothing really different. It's just, I don't know, every time I come out here or every time on game day, it's just always like surreal, just being able to suit up and see all the work that you put in and all the dreams just come true.
That's cool.
Did you have a favorite team growing up like there, or you just want to be in the NFL?
And being in Alabama, it was no like NFL team, so we watched a lot of college football.
So you always want to go to Alabama?
Yeah.
So dream was taken care of going to college?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
How was that for you though? You know, knowing that you've already been in this league for what going on your 5th year now?
Yep.
5 years in. How's that process? Because I remember at one point in time, a guy told me once I get past year 4, it flies by.
Oh yeah.
You know what it feels like right now.
No, it definitely. It felt like yesterday I was just a rookie. So now And I see year 5 coming up. I just know like I got to make the best of my time because it just go fast.
Do you put more of an emphasis in how you train in the offseason, knowing that you want to, basically have longevity, at your position and be able to be honored to have another paycheck?
Yeah, it's really like putting in work off season and during season, just keeping your legs fresh, keeping your body fresh, just maintaining that freshness about yourself. That's really the biggest struggle, just coming in and getting all the bruises and stuff, mending so you can go back out there.
Who's that guy in the league that you're watching that plays your position that you say, I want to either match what he's doing every week or yearly, or just be on that level when it comes to when people hear my name?
Guys, I know I play next to one, Jonathan. And, I've been watching a lot of Jeffrey Simmons. He's a baller. And a lot of dudes. I know guy from the Eagles, Hargrave, I think.
Hargrave,
okay,
yeah.
Hargrave. Yeah, he's a beast.
There's a lot of guys around the league. I like when we come in and watch different offenses. I get to check out a whole bunch of different dudes.
Take a little bit of that game, put on your tube belt.
Yeah,
definitely.
Daron, I gotta pull that mic on up here, sir. Here you go.
Yeah,
you got important things to say. We need to make. I know. We need to make sure we hear everything. People have been waiting to have this conversation with you. Well, I'll jump in here as well. Like preseason, finally got to hit somebody else.
Yeah.
How good does that feel?
Oh, it felt good. Finally getting to beat up on some different guys than the ones we got. But no, it's all. I think preseason is all about just getting back into the groove of playing like actual game speed, and just getting yourself conditioned and ready to go for game 1.
You're going to be out there against Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
It's preseason, but does that? What measuring stick do you have to try and go after?
I'm excited to go up against him because we play a bunch of like running mobile quarterbacks during the season, so it's going to be a good test for us to see how we can improve and what things we can do to get better.
So you say you like to watch other guys around the league, and you mentioned Simmons and some other guys. When other guys are watching your film, what do you want them to take away from watching your tape?
I just want them to say, like, this guy he goes hard every play. He's aggressive. He's just athletic for his size, stuff like that.
I mean, one of the things that sticks out to me that you do really well is you get your hands on people very quickly, and you can control the block at a high level. Where does that come from? Is that college, or is that something you've always been able to do really well?
I kind of use my hands to like dissect the play. So once I get my hands on them, I can tell what's going on.
And can you just feel that in the block, right?
Yeah.
That's a skill that takes a lot of time on task.
Oh yeah. In Bama they taught us a bunch of techniques, and I just kind of used it.
Kept it going.
Yeah.
As far as playing your position and knowing that, I'm not sure how much of an emphasis it was in a collegiate level, but sacks seem to be the thing for guys like you now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You see Donald, you see, your guy here, Allen.
Yeah.
Is that something big on your list when you're going into the season, or is it something you say, hey, if I'm back there enough time, I get them, but I'm more so just trying to clog up things and getting, tackles for losses?
Coming out of college, I really had I think I had two or three sacks in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So sacks to me, they've been coming new, but it shows how productive you are as a D lineman, and I've been trying to work my way into getting in the backfield more and getting myself in better position to make better plays. You feel me? And
gotcha.
It come with the territory.
No doubt.
So what are some things you've been doing to get that done?
Just working on my timing up the snap count, getting off the ball, trying to work hands, work different pass rush moves, and ultimately just finishing on the quarterback and not stopping before. I kind of begin into a habit of stopping, trying to get my hands up, running through the quarterback.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you about your fellow Alabama guy coming in here, Fedarian Mathis.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him coming through? I know he finally got to have his first NFL action as well. And what is that unit like with all? I mean, first of all, just so many Alabama guys. So many Alabama. There must be something down the water down there.
Yeah. No, I think he's gonna be good for us. He gelling with us pretty good. He got a good grasp of the defense, and I'm just excited to see him play. I know he waited his turn at Bama, and now he gets to just hop right in with us. So I'm excited.
What do you like about his game? A little different skill set than you and John, but what do you think he brings to the group?
I feel like he got a lot of energy about himself. He plays just high energy all the time, high motor. So it's good to have guys like that next to you.
Does it kind of get you going on those days where practice is a little bit rough having Phil out there?
Yeah, though, of course. Like when you see somebody going hard, it always make you want to go hard too.
Skanina takes over this D-line room. How is the room coming together, and what's it like with him being that lead voice?
I mean, he been usually like before our last coach left, he was like in charge of the interior guys. So we've been working with him for quite a minute now. But it's cool to see him take over the role and just coach up everybody. And I feel like he's doing a good job, and I'm excited to go to war with him this year.
I think there's some days where we think that he might be out there playing too. He looks it. He looks it.
He's in the weight room every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Skanina was out here as well running the stadium. Someone said he had his shirt off as well. He does think at times he could get out there and play, but he is coaching the players responding. We'll see how they hold up today as well. Kind of Daron to join us. Got to get that microphone held up there, Daron. All right, up next, we're going to check in with London Fletcher. Stick around, folks. You're watching Command Center Game Day Live on Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you are listening to Washington Commanders football. Time now for your fresh takes, brought to you by Safeway, the official supermarket of the Washington Commanders.
Julie Donaldson with Logan Paulson and Santana Moss. Let's talk a little bit about the offense. And Logan, let me ask you this. Been a lot of different injuries to the tight end room. Who are you looking forward and what are you wanting to see from them?
I mean, right now there's not a lot to watch. You know what I mean? There's only a couple. There's probably 3 guys that are going to play. Armani Rogers is the guy who'll probably get the start. Eli Wolf, the guy they signed a couple days ago, is going to play a lot in this game. He's looked good in practice. He's come along in terms of growth. And I think Curtis Hodges, even though he didn't practice on Friday, will probably play in the game today or play on Saturday just because of how the training staff has moved forward with him and the indications of him and what he's doing on the side field in practice.
It's
all very exciting guys to watch.
It's the life in the NFL. The opportunities are there. Santana, for you, wide receivers.
Wide receivers, the same. I mean, this is one of those games where you see most of the guys play a little more. So I'm expecting to see the average street that we should see all season. Curtis, Terry, Dotson, and then you're going to sprinkle in some of the other guys who I feel that's going to fill out that room when it comes to De'Ami Brown, and you got my man 89. I'm hoping he makes the squad because I love a lot about, Cam Sims. So those 5 guys I think are the big name guys for me.
Everybody's had their opportunity to have their moments of flashing at practice, but that's just practice.
Yeah.
It is game time. It's the opportunity to make big plays under the bright lights, and that's all coming up soon.
From selecting the perfect produce and triple checking its quality to preparing it for you, we have perfected the art of fresh.
My work has been viewed by 100 million people. My work helps save lives. My work has gone platinum. My work gives people hope. I work at FedEx.
Take your career to the next level with one of our many open positions.
Imagine coming home to a place where the fun never ends. A happy community set in beautiful rolling horse country, where the custom homes and villas are extraordinary, and the Jack Nicklaus signature golf course and other amenities make every day another reason to smile. Visit Creighton Farms and you'll see it's happiness on a grand scale.
And we are back at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium for the Commanders' second preseason game against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is brought to you by RTS, a better waste company. Found out more at rts.com. And joining me now is our newest member to the radio broadcast booth, but not new to the Burgundy and Gold at all. In fact, he's up in the Ring of Fame. soon to be voted into the 90 greatest players for Washington, deservedly so. Oh, yeah. I've been able to have a sneak peek. That's one of the benefits of my job at the numbers going in. I think it's safe to say that you're going to be safe in there.
Okay.
So let's pick your brain then. I mean, you know football like none other. London Fletcher here with me. I want to talk about, first off, the performance against Carolina, that first outing, and what you want to see them build on, because this is the game where you get the dress rehearsal. And we've already kind of talked a little bit. They might not get fully everything they want from the offense because of some injuries and being shorthanded and not wanting to risk the hurt of Carson Wentz in the preseason. But defensively, what did you see from them in Carolina that they can increase on?
Well, first and foremost, last week in that ball game, just looking at the start of the game from a defensive standpoint, I wanted them to go out and be able to get a 3 and out. That didn't happen. They allowed Carolina to put together a drive, end up giving up a field goal. Third down defense was a problem for us last week. It was a problem for us last season, and I know they're not showing their true hand in terms of what they're going to do from a third down defensive standpoint. A lot of vanilla coverages. However, within that, you had some mental errors, and that can't happen, especially from a veteran secondary. These are that can be coached, and you're glad that they happen out here in the preseason game, but you have to play better football. I was extremely encouraged by the way that defensive line played. Man, I thought Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Sweat, those guys played awesome. They got a ton of hits on the quarterback. Daniel Wise, a backup defensive tackle, he was able to get a sack. So I was encouraged a lot by the defensive line and how they affected the ball game against the Panthers.
Let me ask you about the rotation on that defensive line. You know what you're going to get from John Allen, from Daron Payne. And Daron, we just heard him saying, look, this is great, because one of the areas that they've struggled, which a lot of teams struggle with, is when you have a mobile quarterback. And, of course, Pat Mahomes not afraid if he doesn't see something to just get up and go after it where you chase him. So they want to be able to see how they handle that in their growth together as a unit. Montez Sweat, of course, we'll have to wait for Chase Young. But what did you see on the back end from some of those players?
Well, just from the back end, again, communication. I thought the communication was good. You want to see tighter coverage, and I know it's the preseason, but you're going against offense that you haven't played. I love to see them trust the leverage, trust the defense, and not get beat to your leverage. That was the thing that was disappointing from a coverage standpoint. Guys getting beat to their leverage and not trusting the defense. I'm sure they corrected those things in practice. I hope to see a better result out there on the field today against the Chiefs.
Jamin Davis, they're saying he's much more confident. Look, he's an athletic freak, like the way that he is built. It's just got to be able to click with him. Did you see us getting closer to that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just watching him play, you can see he's more comfortable in what he's doing. The swag or the confidence that he shows out on the football field pre-snap, that tells me a lot about how comfortable you are. He had some snapbacks out there, and I'm not talking about the hat. He had some snapbacks in terms of when he hit a couple of those linemen, their neck or their head snapped back. That's what Jamin Davis can do. I mean, he's a big kid, 6'3", about 250 pounds, and when he plays with that power, he came downhill on a couple running plays, and that lineman, I mean, he rocked a couple of them in the hole, and that's encouraging. I thought he did a good job from that standpoint.
One of his first tackles, Coach Rivera was like, "What were you doing? That's not what we asked." And he was like, "I was just so excited to get out there and hit somebody. Sorry, Coach." We'll get better as he did. They liked his progression. Third down conversions, is that a concern to you from what you saw against Carolina? Because it was one of the most atrocious numbers that kind of came out from that game.
It's somewhat concerning right now on a scale of 1 to 10. It's about a 6. I'm not going to go and be at an 8 or a 9, knowing that they're not showing everything that they'll do defensively from a third down standpoint. They can dial up some different coverages. They can dial up some blitzes and things like that to get off the field. Benjamin St. Juste, the nickel back, he didn't play in that ball game. I'm not concerned to the standpoint of, like, man, panic. But when you think about last year and we finished 31st in the league on allowing third down conversion, then you look at this year in the first preseason game against the Panthers, and they went 11-18. There is a little bit of a concern, but not to the level of panic or anything like that.
Well, we're going to talk with head coach Ron Rivera after that Carolina game, where I do. You made me ask that question of him, because I feel like that was the one question I had to ask almost every single game last year until we got to the end at some point.
I'm trying to get on Coach's good side.
Better. I hear you. So what does Coach make of the third down conversions, and just how concerned is he on that? And then, of course, in this game, we'll be able to see what adjustments they do make as well. That is coming up next, as head coach Ron Rivera will join myself and London Fletcher after last week's game, get his thoughts and his mindset going into this one. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
When safe drivers save up to 30% on their auto insurance for not answering their phone while driving, they feel like a pretty big deal.
Steve, did you get the ice?
Even if they forgot the ice. Save up to 30% on auto insurance with USAA Safe Pilot. Get a quote today.
With a new Toyota, you can practically make summer stand still. From making a splash in a Highlander to fitting in more fun in a Camry or tackling a trailhead in a RAV4 hybrid. Who's a good boy? Enjoy the last of summer in an exciting new Toyota during Toyota's national sales event.
Right now, buy a sporty Camry and take low 1.9% financing, or take 1.9 APR on a Corolla sedan, hatch, or hybrid, or $500 finance cash on a Corolla Cross.
Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
And how about a deal for football season from Lido Pizza? Get an 18-inch 2-topping Lido Pizza, 8 pieces of cheesy garlic bread, and a half-pound of boneless wings for only $36.99 plus tax. Glad to have you here with us as we are gearing up and leading you all the way up to kickoff, where London Fletcher and Bram Weinstein will be with you and myself calling the game for you as we are getting set for this season. Here in Kansas City, preseason game number 2. Look, the first one was was against Carolina back at FedEx Field, and it wasn't the result the head coach Ron Rivera wanted, as it was not a W, although the team did make it very interesting and had their chances. They were able to make their way back. But how did head coach Ron Rivera assess that game? Well, here is that conversation with the coach, London, and myself.
Those first few series for both sides of the ball, I thought we were just kind of like knocking the rust off. But once we got a little bit of rhythm going, I was really pleased. I thought Carson handled everything very nicely. I thought Scott got into a very good play calling rhythm. At no point were we ever at a point where we could have had a delay of game. And that really tells you the play caller's in tune, he's got a rhythm going, and he's really getting it out.
You talk about Carson Wentz, how he's able to kind of come in. I know it's just a little bit of a slow start, but they did seem to kind of get that rhythm as well out there. What do you take back that you want to build on and grow from to be able to get maybe, to get them to where you really need to go for that first game against the Jags?
I think the biggest thing first and foremost was, the way we ran the ball. I thought Antonio came back after the fumble, ran the ball hard the way he needs to. He's a downhill physical guy who does have some shake, but the shake's what gets him in trouble. But I thought bringing B-Rob in, giving him an opportunity to get physical downhill, that really helped set the tone. And when you do that, it takes a lot of pressure off the quarterback as well. And once we were mixing the run in with the pass, that really helped. And you could see Carson make a lot of good decisions, deliver a lot of good balls that were thrown where they needed to be thrown. That's a huge plus.
It was a lot of good versatility we saw from B-Rob as well. Let me go now to your third-string quarterback, Sam Howell. Not a lot of expectations for really having to perform, but he really seemed to get that offense moving and gave a lot of good life as well.
Well, he did. I mean, Sam's a very heady football player. It was interesting because a lot of that stuff we saw there is the stuff when you watch his college tape, his junior year, that's what he did. And that's why, at one point he was talked about the way he was. He has an innate ability, I think, to see things downfield, and he delivered a lot of good balls after moving in the pocket, which is one of his strengths.
You mentioned moving in the pocket. P.J. Walker was able to create some plays against us, running the football, creating plays, stepping up in the pocket. Was it more just guys needing to kind of maintain their rush lane, or was it just understanding what type of quarterback he is and being a little bit more disciplined?
I think, London, it's a little bit of both. You got to understand who this guy is. He's a very savvy veteran, and he stayed out there for a long time. And against our seconds, the thing that they have to be is more disciplined, understanding that this guy will pull it down and rush. So whoever the A-gap rusher is, he's got to be disciplined. Whoever the whole linebacker is, he has to play with vision. And we got away from that. We turned our heads away from it as far as being a whole player. As the A-gap rusher, we popped outside twice and opened that middle up. And we just can't do that against a savvy veteran.
Third down defense last season, I feel like we talked about this a lot. I know you're going through a lot of different guys and probably not maybe scheming as you normally would, but is there concern for that right now?
No, there's no concern for that, Julie, because the biggest problem we had was on second down. We had several 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10s that turned into 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, and 3rd and 5. And in all three cases, they converted. That was truly disappointing because, again, once you get a team in 2nd and long, you got to keep them in 3rd and long, and we didn't do that. And that really, again, studying what happened to us last year, that was one of the cruxes that we had, was that they would go from 3rd and long to 3rd and medium or short. And again, if you're going to stop somebody, you got to keep them back.
Overall, as you look at your first defense, I know they got off to the slow start, but how do you go away from this game feeling about your first unit defensively?
Pretty good, because the couple things that happened that really we had a sack that we missed. I mean, Montez wins at the point, gets into the quarterback and misses, and he scrambles and creates a positive. We had a 3rd and medium, and we lost leverage almost from the snap. Basic alignment from our nickel. Hey, get inside, roll them over the top. And the thing about it was we had pressure. If we roll them over the top, the quarterback doesn't get rid of the ball as quickly as he does, and we have a chance to affect it even more. And then on the touchdown, they run mesh where they try to basically pick, rubbed us. We came off a little high, and there was the opportunity for the throw. And again, Montez was around the quarterback, had a big hit on him, but unfortunately the quarterback already thrown the ball. So I come away from this going, we were that close, because again, we can't turn the ball over in the red zone, okay, and give them good field position, because that's really what happened. We gave them field position, and that's not good enough.
You saw the fans get excited there as you were working your way back, coming from a pretty big deficit going back down here. How great is it just to have football back, to be back at FedEx Field? You hear the revamped fight song and the marching band coming back, celebrating those touchdowns as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it was exciting, because that's what we want to be. We want to be an exciting football team, but we want to win, and we want to win them all. And we're going to go out and we're going to play hard first and foremost, and we're going to play to the end. And I think that's what hopefully our fans can take from this today.
City and the Chiefs. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. What do we make of the running back situation? Logan Paulson will be with me here at Arrowhead. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders football. Time now for your player profile, brought to you by Pepsi, official soft drink of the Washington Commanders.
Terry McLaurin joins us. What a way to close out camp with our playmaker, number 17. Coming out here, the fans absolutely love welcoming you to the practice field. When you leave, and I think you stop and sign almost more autographs than Santana. Santana's getting harassed out there, too. He's not suiting up, but we didn't get to see you in the offseason as you were waiting to get the contract. Congratulations on that. But how is camp kind of going for you? Now you got that first preseason game under your belt as well.
Yeah, it's going really well. I'm really excited just to be back here and all the love that I've received from all the fans and my teammates especially. Just the support that I've gotten throughout this whole process has been unimaginable. And just to be back doing what I love, playing football and being a part of this team. Trying to just earn my spot again. I think just every time you get the opportunity to step on the field, it's a chance to show who you are and to continue to leave a legacy, continue to leave your reputation. And that's what my mindset is going each and every day, and try to impact the guys, not only in my room, but on the offense and the defense. So first game under our belt, I think we had some good moments. We had some moments we get to improve on, and that's a great part of about preseason. We get another chance this week against Kansas City to try to do better.
If you spent all day grilling and no one bothered to save you a burger, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to a close here after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
With Honda, every summer adventure is the destination. Take your adventures farther with Honda, America's most fuel-efficient, full-line automaker. Hurry into a local Honda dealer where new vehicles are arriving daily.
This one is for every parent who needs a vacation after getting back from a family vacation. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
And experience the inaugural season as the Washington Commanders. Single season and single game tickets are available now at commanders.com/tickets. Logan Paulson is joining me now. He's going to be working the sidelines for NBC Sports Washington and NBC for the broadcast. Logan, you're out at practice every single day. And one of the biggest storylines, though, coming in is what do they do with Antonio Gibson after he fumbled that ball, and what you see from Brian Robinson. And also AG was working on special teams, which Coach Rivera said he's always out there. We just don't necessarily get to pay as much attention to it. How do you see this playing out today?
Yeah, I think this is actually kind of what they want out of the two positions. I think they want Brian Robinson to get a bigger share of the carries. I think they want AG to have less carries. And I don't think that's necessarily because they're unhappy with how AG's performing. I think it serves AG well to kind of be fresher, right? Find ways to get him touches on the ball in space. So I think the special teams thing, specifically the kick returner, is outstanding for him and his skill set. And I'd like to see him get the touches. Like in practice this week, they kind of lined him up a receiver. They did a whole bunch of different stuff in terms of diversifying how he was getting the ball. And I think that's what you want from him. He's not the most dynamic runner because he's still learning that position, but get him the ball in space and let him make plays, because Brian Robinson, as we know, is outstanding in that area.
And patience. I mean, we've heard every single coach basically say you cannot put the ball on the ground. He led the league with doing that last season, and here he is in the preseason with some good competition now at running back. Brian Robinson, that's what he is. He's a very physical runner. You mentioned having him out at receiver. Maybe this changes the way that they use him, putting him more on the perimeter?
I mean, that's kind of what, we only have 1 week of a sample size, but I think that's kind of the direction they want to go with this. I think, and that would make sense to me. That makes sound football sense based on the talent and the people you have at the position. I think, Brian Robinson has looked very, very dynamic in his own way in terms of reading holes, setting up blocks, and running with a physical style. Let him be your conventional runner. Let's find ways to get AG touches where he can use that athleticism and be a dynamic playmaker.
All right, so AG, don't take any slight to it. Just play to your strengths, but you've got to make sure that you do take care of the ball.
Take care of the football.
That is rule number one in any position. You cannot be giving away possessions. So we'll see how that goes. And to this coaching staff, to them, it doesn't necessarily matter who is the first guy out there.
Sure.
They're like, they don't really play in that 1-2 back. It's how much do they use them? How do they decide to use them throughout the game? But we all like to play into that 1-2 thing as well. What are you anticipating seeing? Because as we're talking here, the offensive line is really kind of banged up into this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that changes the dynamic of this game completely for Coach Ron Rivera. I think you're going to see a little bit less Carson Wentz than we were hoping for, which is slightly disappointing, but I think you got to do what you got to do and make sure you get ready for week 1 because these games don't count. So let's get to the games that actually count.
And maybe we'll see a little bit more of the running game because the offensive line is banged up, not going to be taking a lot of time to try and go for those big shots, quick short passes, run the ball, kind of see where you air out with all of that as well. Looking forward to having you on the sidelines. You enjoying it?
Yeah, I am. It's been a new experience. I really appreciate the opportunity because you hooked it up, so thank you.
Yeah, well, I have a good eye for talent. You're on to something here, Logan. We enjoy having you with us each and every day out at Command Center of Training Camp. And, of course, he will be on the sidelines working today's game while we're way up here, close to God, in the booth, bringing out our binoculars. Coming up, we'll bring London Fletcher back as we're heating up for preseason game 2. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms. And this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network. Time now for your keys to winning, brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Julie Donaldson, Santana Moss, and Logan Paulson. We're talking about the keys to winning. While the win-losses may not necessarily count, of course, you want to win in many aspects in this game. Santana, what is the key to winning on offense?
I think one of the things that we saw last preseason game that every, group that came in pretty much tried to win their time on the field. So that's something that we all look forward to in the preseason because we know we're not going to play the whole game. So each group, when you're on the field, win that. Make sure you move the ball. Make sure you get those first downs, and make sure you put up points. If you do all that, you have a great opportunity to do so.
And then for defense, Logan.
Yeah, I think the defense there was a lot of things to be excited about, but I think in terms of improvement, I think you want to see how they play their leverages in certain situations. Third down specifically, let's put those guys in good situations to be successful. Can we communicate with each other and kind of make sure we're passing off concepts and matching concepts well? Those were things that kind of stood out in terms of things that could be improved on. I think Jack Del Rio is going to get those guys right moving into the second game.
And if you want a good test, well, no better team to go up against than Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, Andy Reid leads that unit. He was a mentor to head coach Ron Rivera. So Coach Rivera is going to want to get a few wins on this one down in Kansas City. It's amazing. Camp is closing. It was great having fans out here for it, but now it's time to put it on under the bright lights.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card, and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to
And
a
the
close here
announcer?
after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
If you spent all day grilling and no one bothered to save you a burger, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
With Honda, every summer adventure is the destination. Take your adventures farther with Honda, America's most fuel-efficient, full-line automaker. Hurry into a local Honda dealer where new vehicles are arriving daily.
This one is for every parent who needs a vacation after getting back from a family vacation. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
And London Fletcher will be joining me for this, but before we bring him in, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Washington Commanders Radio Network. We are presented by Chesapeake Employers Insurance Company, now with lower worker comp rates and a corporate dividend. London Fletcher now joining me. London, I just had Logan in here, and we're talking a little bit about competition, and mainly at running back. They went out and they drafted Brian Robinson out of Alabama, and he's got some relatively fresh legs as well. He had to wait behind some really outstanding talent to get his time. When he did, he made the most of it and really kind of showed you the flashes of what he can do. And we got to see that firsthand last week. Meanwhile, of course, Antonio Gibson converting to running back. How do you see this from your vision on who should get the bulk of the load and how they should use them?
Well, that's going to play itself out as the games kind of go. First and foremost, if Antonio Gibson doesn't hold on to the football, then you'll see Brian Robinson Jr. being the lead back. The football, that's the franchise's most prized possession. When you have that ball, you have the entire franchise, the entire team in your hand. You have to protect that ball. Brian Robinson, he has some natural ability as a running back. To be 6'1", the body lean that he runs with, the pad level, the feet that he has inside the line of scrimmage. There's a jump cut that he had last week, and I'm watching it like, man, that's a special type of running back right there. It'll play out in the course of the game, so we'll see how things kind of unfold. But I will say this. We're only going to be better as a team with this three-headed monster that we have at the running back position when you also throw in J.D. McKissick.
Yeah, J.D. McKissick, though, dealing with a little bit of an injury, keeping him out. They don't want to take any risk to having any players hurt going into the game against the Jaguars. If we're talking about competition, and that's what this is all about, even when we were talking with Terry McLaurin this week at camp, he said, I have to go out and earn my spot. I'm like, wait a second. Really? But that's the mindset that he has. So you always have to go out and earn your spot. We'll see that carry out at running back. But what about Sam Howell, the competition that he came out here and really led this team back? You know, he probably missed some opportunities, but also showed that he has the ability to play, showed a lot of life, and just to be able, the ability to kind of extend some plays as well.
Sam can play, man. He can run. That's one of the probably the underrated elements of his game, his ability to make plays with his legs. He had over 3,000 yards rushing in high school, 60 touchdowns. I mean, this guy can run the football. The plays that he made last week in that ball game against the Carolina Panthers, the throws, the runs, the pump fakes, going through his progressions, that's what I was impressed with. There were some throws that, yes, he would like to have back, late on the throw, kind of ball placement on a touchdown, possible touchdown in the end zone to one of the tight ends, but there's a lot of talent there we see with Sam Howell.
Yeah, he's not a player that they anticipated drafting. They hope to not use him at all this season, but we'll see a good bit of him today and as well in that final preseason game against the Ravens. So we're hearing a few boos. That's because some of the players from Washington came onto the field wearing the white jersey tops, the burgundy jersey pants out here as we are, again, coming out second game as the Commanders. So each game right now we're seeing new uniforms. It's kind of cool seeing all of that. How about when we get to some of the other pass rushers? Again, we had Daron Payne on the show, and I was talking with a doc that you were talking earlier. We know what we're going to get from Chase, from Montez when Chase comes back eventually, John Allen, Daron. But what about some of those other pass rushers that we're going to see? Bunmi Rotimi, William Bradley King getting out there, Fedarian Mathis, of course, the rookie coming in. You have, David Bada, F.A.O. Bada, James Smith-Williams, Casey Tuhill, Daniel Wise. How does that kind of shake out from a lot of names?
Well, I saw Daniel Wise. He impressed me last week with his ability to be disruptive in the passing game. He ended up getting a sack. He also got several other hits on the quarterback. I thought James Smith-Williams was disruptive. Even Shaka Toney, although he had that unfortunate penalty, his get-off, his ability to get past the left tackle for the Panthers, it was glaring, his speed off the edge. There's going to be competition for that third pass rusher or that fourth or fifth defensive end, so to speak, until Chase Young gets healthy. But we have a lot of different options, some guys that can get after the quarterback.
And they will have their opportunities today as well. Pat Mahomes, of course, getting the start, and we'll see how long the Chiefs do decide to keep him out there as well. If we do talk more about the defense, they've had a good camp, Yeah, you're going up against your own guys. Practice. It's easy to have a good camp on defense. There's a lot of question marks, I think, after the last game against Carolina. It says, okay, like let's really hone in on this in practice because this cannot happen if we're going to get out there and be successful. Where are those biggest question marks to you overall?
Well, third down defense. I mean, it was something that a big question mark coming into the season after being 31st in the NFL last year. Then you go out and you allow the Carolina Panthers to convert 11 out of 18 third downs. That has to stop. You have to get off the football field. And it's on the secondary, the defensive front, they got pressure on the quarterbacks. However, because the receivers for the Carolina Panthers were able to win in their routes, the quarterback was able to hit open receivers. The thing that was discouraging is it wasn't like some exotic coverages and things like that. These were basic coverages, man-to-man type of calls where it's just a matter of trusting your leverage, trusting your technique, and going out and executing. So that was discouraging.
Have to execute if you're going to be able to, first off, be able to be a contributor on the 53-man roster, be a starter, and then shut down defenses like Pat Mahomes and his arsenal of weapons and all the changes they've had. Like it'll be a good test for our defense out here as well. When we come back, though, our play-by-play broadcaster Bram Weinstein, he rejoins us as we take a closer look at some of the key additions to the Commanders roster this season. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders football.
If you spent all day grilling and no one bothered to save you a burger, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to
And
a
the
close here
announcer?
after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
With Honda, every summer adventure is the destination. Take your adventures farther with Honda, America's most fuel-efficient, full-line automaker. Hurry into a local Honda dealer where new vehicles are arriving daily.
This one is for every parent who needs a vacation after getting back from a family vacation. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Here's Julie Donaldson.
And joining me now is Bram Weinstein. We will be with you all season long, along with London Fletcher. Bram, I want to talk a little bit about some of the guys that we saw shine against Carolina that we'll probably see a good little bit of today as well. I want to start with Sam Howell.
I thought he was outstanding for a debut. I do think something needs to be cleared up on Twitter. At practice earlier this week, yes, the first-team defensive players were on the field with him. That got altered into him practicing with the ones, meaning the first-teamers on offense. That didn't actually happen. There is no quarterback controversy here, right? No. None of that is happening. None of that is materializing. That said, for a first go, he was pretty good. And once he kind of, not unlike Carson Wentz, it took a couple of drives, but then he got going, and he got really comfortable. And, listen, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. This became part of his game in his junior year at North Carolina. He was a prolific passer his first couple of years, had a lot of NFL talent around him. Those guys ended up like De'Ami Brown on the Commanders now. And they asked him to do a lot more with his feet, and it looks like he's comfortable doing that at the NFL level, too. So, all things considered, I talked to Ron Rivera. You've talked to him about it, too. The goal for him this summer is just get his confidence up, that he can play at this level. There's no expectation he's going to play in a regular season game. They're just hoping that, that this becomes something that becomes comfortable for him like it was in college.
And even if you ask them, could he be somebody down the road? It's just too early to tell. So let's just pause a little bit. Yeah. Yes, he showed that, he has the ability to be here and his opportunities. And as far as the practice, Coach Rivera said, look, if you don't put him in those situations, you don't know how he's going to handle the pressure.
That's right.
So at some point you have to be able to just kind of get them out there and say, okay, how are you with the ones when it's coming at you, as opposed to maybe some guys that are further down on the depth chart. Part of those ones would be Jahan Dotson. He had his first target, and then he got to sit back and watch the game. We'll see how much we see of him today. But the excitement for him joining this offense.
Yeah, I was really hoping, we'd see more of the offense, but, these plans are getting destroyed by injury. Charles Leno isn't here now. They've got pitch counts on their starting left tackle and their starting center. They've got a lot of backups playing other positions outside of Sam Cosmi. There's just going to be caution that's going to come in here, and I just can't imagine that the starting unit's going to see a lot of opportunities. So maybe Dotson gets a catch or two or gets a target or two. That'd be great. I would just reiterate, I have not been this excited about when we haven't had many offensive first-round picks in years, but this guy has got it. It was noticeable in the spring. There were a couple of things I was looking back at the Carolina game. There were some routes where he set guys up and spun them around. The ball just didn't come his way. You don't want to pump up anybody too much before things get going, but it has just been so evident from the start with him that they've got a hit in this guy, and I don't know if you're going to see it today, but in the very, very, very near future, from what we've seen in practice so far, it is hard to believe that right now they don't have 2 number 1 receivers on this team, and I think we're all just kind of waiting for that to materialize in a real game.
And, of course, if you're listening to us, you can also watch, as we do have our cameras in on Jahan Dotson warming up here. They're wearing the white jerseys, the burgundy bottoms. He will be having plenty more targets and opportunities to make plays in this league. And coming out, they liked that he was ready to come in and contribute because he had that experience. He was that one and only guy at Penn State making plays. If you ask this coaching staff, who's their number 1, of course, we would all say Terry McLaurin at this point, number 2. They don't really look at it that way. Yeah. They just say, we've got wide receivers out there we can use, we can play. They don't get caught up in where they are in the pecking order. It's let's just play them out in the game and get them making plays. So that then goes to Brian Robertson with the opportunity, many people wanting to know, does he become the number 1 running back after Antonio Gibson? Look, put up 1,000 yards, but unfortunately – put the ball on the ground one too many times.
I think this is a complicated conversation now. When we talked to Ron Rivera about this, because there was a fumble last week, and suddenly he wasn't playing with the ones immediately, and then this week he's out there and he's returning kicks and he's blocking on punt units, and it felt like a message was being sent, and Rivera went out of his way to say we're not sending a message and reiterated, we've been saying from the get-go that we're going to share the load. But I think what has happened this week, it is impossible not to notice that there was a paradigm shift, at least in the thinking about who may be the starter, who may get more carries with the ones, who may get more up-the-middle opportunities. And so I think Gibson, this is a big week for him. And once again, what's tricky about this is I think some of the things that they would have liked to accomplish today are going to have to be shelved because of a number of injuries, and you just don't want to take chances with your starters based on the attrition on the offensive line and the tight end position. But I do think the next 2 weeks are very important for Gibson because it's not that he won't have a very big role here. Like, none of that has changed. But Robinson looks the part, feels the part. They clearly trust him very early, and that's the part I think Gibson needs to get back. He's got to get the trust back from the coaches. I heard London say, like, if you're just going to drop the football on the ground, you can't play. So he's got to get their trust back, and I think that they've showed a lot of patience with his transition and the things that they want him to do technically. And in the first preseason game, they saw him do a couple of things that led to a bad play and some things that they're trying to get out of his game to make him fit more in the inside the tackle professional running back. And the transition continues, but they're running out of patience with it. So this is a big couple of weeks for him.
Yeah, I feel like we've heard almost every single coach you talk to say, look, I mean, that's the thing. You've got to take care of the ball. If you don't take care of the ball, we can't put you in those situations.
Yeah.
And he's now got a target on his back. Players are going to know he has that against him, and they're going to come in. They're trying to punch that ball out and see is he got that ball right next to him, next to his chest, or is it up high and out and loose where he runs more like a receiver and you have the opportunity to lose it. He's going to have to make sure he holds on for dear life. Still has a role. How does that role play out? Excited to see that, of course, today. I think we'll see a good bit of the run game out here as well with the way the offensive line is going. Coming up, though, we're going to check out the Commanders who are hot on fantasy football draft boards. It's that time of year as you are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
You're going to like this story because it's about you. You who forgot to charge your phone last night. You who sprints to the boarding line so your bag will fit. You with him. Until one day, you boarded a United plane that was designed for, well, you. And your phone got charged, your bag fit, so did everyone else's, but this story isn't about them. Your toddler didn't tantrum, and you got to fly happily ever after. The end.
From selecting the perfect produce and triple checking its quality to preparing it for you, we have perfected the art of fresh.
Imagine coming home to a place where the fun never ends. A happy community set in beautiful rolling horse country, where the custom homes and villas are extraordinary and the Jack Nicklaus signature golf course and other amenities make every day another reason to smile. Visit Creighton Farms and you'll see it's happiness on a grand scale.
My work has been viewed by 100 million people. My work helps save lives. My work has gone platinum. My work gives people hope. I work at FedEx.
Take your career to the next level with one of our many open positions.
Time now to go around the league, delivered by FedEx, where now meets next. Time now for your Fantasy Report. The Fantasy Football Report is presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partner of the Washington Commanders. And for that, we're going to bring in the host of our post-game show, Scott Jackson. You can catch him as soon as the game is over, along with Fred Smoot. But for now, let's talk a little fantasy, Scott. Tell me a little bit what you have about Wentz, McLaurin, Dotson, Gibson, and Samuel. Understanding we may not see as much of them as we would like this game. Waiting for Scott Jackson. Half a second more. This is called live radio here, folks. We are working out the kinks in preseason, trying to bring folks on into the show. But again, this is just part of it. And right now I'm hearing some cheers as you see a whole bunch of Chiefs players coming on to the field here at in Arrowhead and Kansas City. They say this place gets really loud. We're broadcasting from way up high, probably the highest you can go at Arrowhead. We have windows that close us and shut us out from the game. But we're here, and we're looking forward to bringing this to you as well. And it sounds like Scott Jackson, we're having some technical issues, so we'll see if we can't bring him when we do come back. But let's take a break while we try to work through all of this. Up next, we're also going to be hearing, if it's not from Scott Jackson, we still have on Slad, Terry McLaurin. He's going to join Santana Moss, Logan Paulson, and myself as well. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders Football.
When safe drivers save up to 30% on their auto insurance for not answering their phone while driving, they feel like a pretty big deal.
Steve, did you get the ice?
Even if they forgot the ice. Save up to 30% on auto insurance with USAA Safe Pilot. Get a quote today.
With a new Toyota, you can practically make summer stand still. From making a splash in a Highlander to fitting in more fun in a Camry or tackling a trailhead in a RAV4 hybrid. Who's a good boy? Enjoy the last of summer in an exciting new Toyota during Toyota's national sales event.
Right now, buy a sporty Camry and take low 1.9% financing, or take 1.9 APR on a Corolla sedan, hatch, or hybrid, or $500 finance cash on a Corolla Cross.
Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
are presented by Victory Van Moving and Storage, delivering excellent services for 75 years and a proud partner of the Washington Commanders. We are here in Kansas City watching the teams warm up, showing you the warm-ups as well on our social media platforms. And one thing we did see was head coach Ron Rivera, all friendly with guys from the opposite team. Travis Kelce, nice little hug and a laugh. But, of course, we'll see how well Ron schemes his defense against Travis Kelce in this game. Meanwhile, let's talk about the main player and one of the stars for Washington, none other than Terry McLaurin, coming into a season getting a huge contract deal that keeps him here for the next 3 years at least. Well, he sat down and had a conversation with myself, Santana Moss, and Logan Paulson at training camp before it officially wrapped.
Yeah, it's going really well. I'm really excited just to be back here and all the love that I've received from all the fans and my teammates especially. Just the support that I've gotten throughout this whole process has been unimaginable. And just to be back doing what I love, playing football and being a part of this team, trying to just earn my spot again. I think just every time you get the opportunity to step on the field, it's a chance to show who you are and to continue to leave a legacy, continue to leave your reputation. And that's what my mindset is going each and every day, and try to impact the guys, not only in my room, but on the offense and the defense. So first game under our belt, I think we had some good moments. We had some moments we get to improve on, and that's a great part of about preseason. We get another chance this week against Kansas City to try to do better.
You said earn your spot. Yeah. I know Coach Rivera is always, no matter what, he says, I don't care where you were drafted, what your name is on the back of that jersey, you do have to compete for it. But Definitely. You still feel you got to compete, Terry? I think that's just my mindset, honestly, each and every year, because this league is there's a lot of attrition, and if you don't come focused and showing that you can hang, then there's guys waiting in the wings to be able to take your opportunity. And there's a new draft class every year, so you got to really stay on top of your game. And just to be, if you want to be one of the top receivers in this league, I mean, I think that's also forever evolving too. So I think each year I come in with a mindset of the things I want to improve on, the statement that I want to make coming out here on the field, and then just trying to get a good rhythm with my quarterback and make a lot of plays. So definitely that's my mindset each and every time I step on the field, is to try to leave that reputation.
Speaking of that mindset, saying that, you feel like you need to be out here so you can show your worth. How was that for you this offseason, knowing that you wanted to be out here? Right. The business part of it, was taking place, and you had to let that handle itself. Mm-hmm. But I've been in those shoes before, not being able to be that guy and go out there and show my team, my worth while they're taking care of business. How were you at that state at that time?
That was the toughest part for me, because I was lifting and running and staying in shape just in case it got done during mini camp and things like that. But you can't simulate being out here on the field, running through the plays, the camaraderie that takes place during those times. And having Carson, who's a new quarterback, I didn't want him to think that I was lazy or, not really ready to work and things like that. But that's the business side of football, too. And I think I had great representation, and Coach Rivera and the staff made it very clear that they wanted to get the deal done, and it got done. So as soon as that was done, I was just ready to get out there with Carson and start throwing with the rest of the playmakers. But honestly, that was my mindset getting back here, is to prove why that was a good investment for this team, prove why I deserve that contract, and to earn it all over again. You know what I mean? Like, just because you sign that on the dotted line, that's unbelievably a blessing, changes my life, changes my family's life. But I think the next mindset is to enjoy it, celebrate it, and then get back to work and to earn it all over again. I think that's what keeps you on edge.
No doubt.
You mentioned Carson there. How's that relationship developing?
Yeah. I think it's come along a lot since the first week. Obviously when you're getting into a new relationship with a quarterback, each quarterback's different. The way they're dropped, the way they see man versus zone, the trajectory of where they throw the ball. So I think the best thing about him and I's relationship, it started on a very personal level. We got to know each other a lot over the off season on a personal level, and then getting out to throw in California before we get out here. And then when we got here on the field, just being able to talk through the things that need to be ironed out when you're having a quarterback-receiver relationship. I think he's very communicative, which has really helped me out a lot. He's a guy who's going to give me a chance to make plays down the field. He's going to give me an opportunity. If he sees a matchup, then he trusts me. And I think I got to continue to gain that trust. When he puts a ball up there in practice, I got to come down with it, because not only gives him confidence, but Coach Turner and everybody else. So it's been fun getting connected with him and seeing the improvement that we've only made in just a few weeks.
And you mentioned the personal side of the relationship. I think a lot of people undervalue that. What are some things that you guys did because you weren't here. So how did you kind of build that?
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the main people out in this building, texting me, seeing how things were going with my negotiations, asking me how my family was doing. I know he has his family that's here, and we talked about our faith. We talked about our personal journeys throughout this league in the NFL, when he was with the Colts, the Eagles, and just my journey up until this point. So you really get to know somebody on a personal level. You start to gain that trust, and obviously we're going to do our job on the football field, but I care about him as a person. I want his well-being as a human being above all else. So I think when you can really genuinely form that kind of connection and relationship with somebody, I think it makes the work part of it a lot easier.
I was just about to ask that. How does that ease your communication when you finally get out here? Because if I had all that time to really gel from text messages, phone calls, you name it, does it make the process a little easier when you get out here and finally have to go live and say, okay, now I have to catch these passes? Because you have a little experience, because you dealt with a lot of quarterbacks already thus far in your career. So was that process a little easier than before, or you still trying to build on it?
I think you still have to build on it. I think you have to come out here and see the ball thrown and caught. I think you have to be put in different situations: man zone, outside leverage, inside leverage, safety over the top. So those things you can't quite iron out in text message. But I think there's the personal side of it, to know that we came out here and he was supporting me while I was away from the team, knowing he has my back like that, coming out here and the way I try to support him if he makes a tough play, or if I have a tough play and take the ownership for myself. I just think that is really a huge part of the connection, because at the end of the day, you have to trust. He has to trust I'm going to do my job, and I have to trust he's going to do his job. And when the game's on the line, I think that's what it really comes down to. The reps and practice that you get are insurmountable, but I think when the game's on the line, he could trust that, okay, that's my guy. I know we got the reps in practice. I know that he has my back. He's going to come down with this play.
Speaking of, all that trust and stuff within the quarterback and all that, how are you now knowing that you have that, I guess you almost like that veteran now? You have a young pup that we just got in here who's going to, probably help you guys tremendously. What is that maturation part when it comes to being a mentor now?
Definitely.
How's that with you?
I've definitely taken a lot of pride in that since being in college, of trying to help as many guys as I can, not only in my room, but just across the team. I know that in the NFL, it's hard to make it out here. It's hard with all the changes in your life, from financially to your schedule to time management. There's a lot going on. And Jahan's been great. I think he left a great impression on all of us. Myself, just meeting him, just see how professional he is. He really carries himself like a pro. And to be a 22-year-old man, handle yourself like that as a first-round pick with a lot of expectations, he's handled it really humbly, and he's always eager to learn. So I think he can really help us, his versatility to play the slot in the outside positions. He can take the top off the defense. He's really good in short area, and he has unbelievable hands. So I've just tried to help him as much as I can on the field, and personally just make sure he's as comfortable as he can, because him being at his best not only helps himself, but it helps our group and it helps our team.
When they brought him in here, I've heard many people say he's a mini Terry. Just as you even just alluded to, a consummate pro knows how to go about his business and really understands where he's asked to step up and what to do, but also kind of like a quieter guy as well. You're not so quiet anymore, Terry. We're hearing a lot of chitter chatter coming out from you. Has that always been there, or is it just a product of the confidence of where your game is at?
I think it's always been there. I think at first I've always wanted to be a lead by example person. I wanted my teammates and the coaches to experience me doing my job over and over and over again, earning their respect, and then being selected as a captain, as early as my career as I have. That's a blessing for me. I think that it really is a testament to how I try to show up as a human being, as a leader. And then when that comes, when you're given that opportunity, you have to speak up a little bit more. And one thing I've never been shy about is competing. And so when you get out here in these competitive situations, you sometimes forget you're not going against commander versus commander, but you're going to be going against another opponent. But I think those competitive juices are extremely important to try to simulate in these times when it's hot, when it's humid, when it's hard, because when it comes on Sunday, you want to be able to have those habits and those repetitions built up to where it just comes natural. And so one thing about me is I love to compete, and I don't really start the trash talking, but once it starts going, I try to finish it. I try to finish it.
You silence it at the end.
But we do know all season long he will be a big contributor here on offense. When we come back, we are going to hear from rookie quarterback Sam Howell coming up next as we are nearing kickoff at Arrowhead. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
Veterans, you may have earned a variety of VA benefits. Did you know VA can help you further your education and pursue professional training? The Home Loan Guarantee Program can help you buy, repair, or adapt a home. VA provides housing support if you find yourself homeless or at risk of homelessness. And don't forget world-class health care. Learn more about these and other VA benefits. Visit choose.va.gov.
With Honda, every summer adventure is the destination. Take your adventures farther with Honda, America's most fuel-efficient, full-line automaker. Hurry into a local Honda dealer where new vehicles are arriving daily.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to
And
a
the
close here
announcer?
after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
And a lot of excitement last week to see the debut of quarterback Sam Howell in live NFL action as he accounted for a couple of touchdowns and got the offense going and the team almost back to where they were able to win their preseason opener. Today they're in Kansas City. But here's that conversation with Sam Howell along with London Fletcher and myself.
No, it was just a lot of fun to be out there. We've been working so hard in practice, and, this is kind of what I've been working for my whole entire life. So it was just super fun to get out there for my first real game experience. And I feel like I did some good things and definitely a lot of plays I'd like to have back, but a lot of stuff I can build on.
You mentioned doing some good things. One thing that I've noticed, not only in today's game, but also during the training camp practices, is you going through your progressions and coming to your second or third receiver. You were able to make some big throws down the field prior to you making that touchdown run. What was it like for you to be able to make those plays and go through those progressions on the football field today?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I feel like I've been doing a good job of that stuff in camp, like you said, but it was just cool to kind of do it in a real game. When the bullets are flying and guys are coming at you, and just to be able to go from your first look, second look, back to your third look, it was definitely something I want to come out here and get accomplished today. So it's definitely a lot of stuff I can build on, though.
There's also times where we saw you should have been taking a sack, but you're able to kind of manage and get your way out of that. You said this kind of feels like college. Well, where is the difference, though, for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the guys are a lot faster, a lot stronger. Windows close a little bit faster. You can't get away with, running or trying to break tackles like you can kind of in college. So you just got to be smart, try to protect yourself. And, when you do want to try to, make a big play, you try to take advantage of those moments. You just got to be smart when you do it.
You mentioned, some plays that you would want back. What particular, was it more just, hey, I missed a guy here, or I probably should have went here with the football? What was that you would like to do differently?
Yeah, I think there was just, a couple throws. I think I missed like 2 or 3 throws I'd like to have back. I just need to, be a little more comfortable in the pocket. And don't let the moment ever be too big, and just stick to my fundamentals on every single play and just try to be as consistent as I can.
What has it been like being in the quarterback room? We haven't had the chance to really talk to you, of having the veteran Carson Wentz, with the arm that he has, being that pocket passer. Then Taylor Heineke, kind of the guy that's not afraid to play with his hair on fire and get out and run. And we saw him scramble plenty of times today as well. How does that room come together for you and help you as you transition?
Yeah, no, it's been so much fun, and those guys are so awesome. And the thing is, both Taylor and Carson, they've been through a lot in their career, and they have so much different experiences. They both have different career paths, and it's just fun picking their brain. And they've been really good to me, and they've helped me a lot. So I'm just happy to be a part of a room where the guys are willing to help me a little bit. So it's been a lot of fun.
One thing I wanted to know is, on that quarterback sneak where you were able to get into the end zone, how much experience did you have prior to, whether it was in college or prior to coming to the NFL, running quarterback sneaks? Yeah. Because there's so many, most of the time in college, you guys are in the shotgun so much.
Yeah, we really didn't do it hardly at all in college. Maybe 2 times my whole college career, and that was my first time running it here. Well, actually, I did it one time on the scout team against the defense the other day in practice, so that was probably the only time I've done it in a long time.
Sam Howell, we will see a good bit of him today as we are getting set to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Preseason game number 2, the first road game for the Washington Commanders. We are getting you set for kickoff. It's coming up in just over 15 minutes, and our 50-yard line show is next as kickoff nears here in Kansas City. You are listening to the Washington Commanders football.